Welcome back to Channel Frederator. We've got a trio of classic Futurama videos for you to binge today. The Complete Futurama Timeline, 107 facts about the beloved show, and a quick explainer video breaking down all sorts of famous Futurama memes. That's right, we're getting this one done quick. Let's kick things off with that timeline.
Good news, everyone! One of the best shows on the Smell-O-Vision is getting the timeline treatment. For a show that has everything from multiverses to whatchamacallits to just a ton of time travel, this show does have buttloads of time travel. Are we sure we want to do this? Alright, I mean, as far as wacky sci-fi goes, Futurama is really well put together. And before we dive in, we're gonna go with the assumption that you have at least a basic understanding of who Fry, Leela, Bender, and the rest of the Planet Express crew are, because they're just littered throughout human history before we actually meet them for the first time. Whatever, I'm Jacob with Channel Frederator, and today we're going on a fantastic voyage through the entire Futurama timeline, paradoxes and all. The Big Bang and early history, 10 billion BC to 274 BC. Believe it or not, Futurama's history goes back to before the creation of our universe. Yivo, a planet-sized alien from a different universe, floats alone for 1 trillion years in the vast emptiness of space. It's not until the Big Bang occurs that Shklee even realizes their solitude, despite the heckishly cute Niblonian race predating the Big Bang as well, albeit only by about 17 years. In 10 billion BC, the Big Bang occurs, bringing the entire physical universe as we know it into existence. Mere milliseconds later, the evil brain spawn emerge, a race of flying sentient brains hell-bent on destroying the universe after all knowledge has been collected. The Niblonians take up arms against the floating menace, starting a war that would rage on well into the 31st century. Sometime during this period, described in the show as eons ago, a life-giving aura known as the Chi begins to spread throughout the universe, allowing animals and plants to take form. This kickstarts the evolutionary arms race, a Darwinistic cycle between two predatory species endlessly adapting to each other. Ultimately, the evolutionary arms race leads to the creation of both the Dark Ones and the Encyclopods. Eventually, the life-giving Chi recedes for unknown reasons, bringing both species to the brink of extinction. Billions of years later, the Sun, Earth, and Moon are created, though it would be another 4 billion years until the first Earthfish crawled onto land. Then, in 65,500,000 BC, the brain spawn invade Earth, presumably for the first time, wiping out all of the planet's dinosaurs. Skipping forward millions of years, Neanderthals in North America are wiped out. Over the course of the next 10,000 years, Homo sapiens drive all of the remaining Neanderthals from the Neander Valley, where they eventually settle inside a glacier along with several other prehistoric creatures. Torn from tomorrow's headlines, 3500 BC to 1775 AD. In 3500 BC, the first cats arrive on planet Earth. An alien species hailing from Thuban 9, these adorable kitties left their home to steal Earth's gravitational pull after their own began to slow. Worshipped as gods by the Egyptians, they eventually became lazy and domesticated, forgetting their plans to save their homeworld for centuries. And they're not the only ones to visit Egypt. 2,500 years later, aliens from Osiris IV visit ancient Egypt to learn how to build pyramids, travel through space, and prepare their dead. Leonardo da Vinci, an alien from planet Vinci, visits Earth during the Renaissance. Though considered relatively stupid on his own planet, he's revered as a genius by Earthican standards. Tired of being ridiculed, he decides to stay on Earth, where he becomes a famous scientist, painter, engineer, and inventor. A few hundred years later, Minuteman Yancey Fry is blasting commies in the American Revolution, at least according to Fry's dad. I don't think he understands how a number of males throughout the Fry family tree are subsequently named Yancey to honor his legacy. On April 17, 1775, the Planet Express crew travels back in time to the American Revolution to prove David Farnsworth, one of American history's most nefarious traitors, isn't related to the professor. Hilarious time-meddling antics ensue, briefly resulting in an alternate reality where Great Britain wins the war. Oh yeah, and New Jersey is officially declared the country's official joke state during a secret meeting held by the Continental Congress, but I think we already knew that. The Fry family, 1920 to 1999. In 1920, Professor Hubert J. Farnsworth's distant ancestor, real-world inventor Philo Farnsworth, invents the television. Fun little Easter egg, the professor's name in the show was actually inspired by the real-life inventor himself, attributed here as his ancestor. The Planet Express crew travels back to 1947, causing the famed Roswell UFO incident. In an Emmy Award-winning Back to the Future parody for the ages, Philip J. Fry becomes his own grandfather after accidentally killing his paternal grandfather, Enos Fry, and sleeping with his grandmother, and Fry will go on to casually refer to this fling as doing the nasty and the pasty. Gross, dude. Sure enough, 9 months later, Fry's father and son, Yancey Fry Sr., is born. Aren't time paradoxes fun? Moving forward, Philip's super jealous older brother and technically grandson, Yancey Fry Jr., is born in 1971, and 3 years later, in 1974, series protagonist Philip J. Fry is born at Brooklyn Pre-Med Hospital. Instead of flourishing in school, Fry spends most of his formative years playing video games and watching Star Trek, which explains a lot. lot. I think he also mentions in the show that he used to drink 100 cans of cola a day and had 3 heart attacks in high school. In their teens, Yancey tries to steal Philip's 7-leaf clover, which appears to grant just unbelievable amounts of luck. But to sway Yancey from finding it, Philip hides it in his Ronco record vault, specifically inside the sleeve of the soundtrack of The Breakfast Club. Later, in his 20s, Philip gets a job as a delivery boy at Panucci's Pizza. And good thing he's got that gig, because in 1994, Fry flunks out of Coney Island Community College, and while the show suggests that it was actually just a carnival attraction, the comic New Year's Rockin' Evil reveals it to be quite the legitimate institution, albeit one with very low standards. 3 years later, Fry adopts his scampy and ever-loyal dog Seymour. Big thanks to whoever called in that pizza delivery to Seymour asses. Then in 1999, Fry accidentally knocks the series finale of Single Female Lawyer off the air. 1,000 years later, the Omicronians would invade Earth, demanding an ending to the show, but that's hardly the biggest mistake he makes that year. You can't prove it won't happen. December 31st, 1999. Hello? Pizza delivery for, Icy Wiener? Oh, crud. The series officially begins. Philip J. Fry is sent on yet another fake pizza delivery, this time to Applied Cryogenics. Mere seconds into the new year, Fry slips into a cryotube and is frozen for exactly 1,000 years, except it isn't exactly 1,000 years because for some reason he's unfrozen like a day before the new year in 2999. None of this matters anyway! Turns out that Nibbler sent Fry on the fake pizza delivery and pushed him into the cryotube, and it's all because Fry was prophesied to be the only being dumb enough, literally, to defeat the brain spawn once and for all, but we'll get to that when we come to it. No need to feel bad for the guy, though. Before being frozen, Fry's bank account was left with a balance of 93 cents, which after 1,000 years of gathering interest became a whopping $4.3 billion. I mean, it was eventually stolen from him, but that's on him for telling random strangers what his PIN number is. Meanwhile, about 7 years in the future, that is to say 3007, using a paradox-correcting timecode tattooed on his ass, Fry time travels back to the year 2000, 30 minutes after he was frozen. There's then just a buttload of wacky time-traveling antics that take place within like 5 minutes, but all we need to focus on for now is that shortly after, this future Fry rents out the upstairs storage room of Panucci's Pizza, where he lives an alternate life for 12 years, and yes, he takes care of Seymour too. During this time, Bender is being controlled by alien scammers to travel back in time and destroy both the timecode and Fry, Terminator style, but he quickly loses him. Months later, Bender mistakenly attacks Al Gore's manager, Philip Joshua Fry, in Florida. He ends up accidentally destroying all of Gore's ballots and all but assuring a victory for George W. Bush. That may sound familiar, but the rest of the millennium plays out a little differently than you might expect. The world of the 2000s! 2000 to 2801. In the year 2000, once landlocked city Atlanta, Georgia decides to move offshore so it can attract more tourists. Unfortunately, gross overdevelopment causes the city to sink to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The city was seemingly lost until the Planet Express crew stumbled across the civilization of merfolk in the early 31st century. Sometime during this year, Yancey's son and Fry's nephew, Philip J. Fry II, is born, named for his uncle to carry on his spirit. And Yancey, who eventually found his brother's 7-leaf clover while rooting around in his basement looking for terrible music to clear out his wedding reception, gifts the priceless heirloom to his son. With the help of the clover, he grows into an entrepreneur and philanthropist, not to mention the first man to walk on Mars circa 2032. The following year, 2001, Fry's ex-girlfriend Michelle abandons her husband and family by freezing herself to the year 2266. However, she doesn't wake up until the year 3001 due to Lars Fillmore adjusting the timer. Wow, that was rude of him. Whatever, it's not like we'll ever hear from him again. It's also around this time that the Brain Spawn start their 1,000-year quest to obtain all knowledge in the universe. By 2002, New York's garbage problem is out of control. The city decides to create the world's largest barge and send all of their trash adrift, aimlessly circling the ocean for the next 50 years. Lonely and missing Leela something fierce, Fry's future duplicate gets a job at an aquarium in 2003, working with a narwhal named Lilu, which for a while seems to help his lonely feeling. In 2008, Stop and Drop becomes America's preferred choice of suicide booth, suggesting they've been around for as long as the 21st century. Fun fact, the cost of suicide is only 25 cents. That's not a fun fact at all, I've been lied to. According to Professor Farnsworth, 2008 also marks the year the Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway began preserving the seeds of every known plant species on Earth, and for the record, that's true in our real-world timeline as well. No one knows exactly when its poorly located and contained sister site, the Germ Warfare Repository, was erected, though. After 7 years of bonding, future duplicate Fry's new new aquatic friend Lilu is released into the wild to make room for the aquarium's new star attraction, a giant log with a Halloween mask made to look like the Loch Ness Monster. Not ready to let her go, Fry spends the next 2 years searching for her with the aid of Mr. Panucci's cousin, Leroy. He also grows a beard that's a wildly different color from his trademark red hair, and I am not okay with that detail. Duplicate Fry finally locates Lilu, but decides to set her free when he sees she's in love with another narwhal. His closure on the matter is, she needs what'll make her happy, not what'll make me happy. God, we're what, like 9 minutes into this timeline, and I've already talked about, what, 2 or 3 things about this show that have made me cry? This isn't gonna get any easier, is it? Saddened yet humbled, Fry returns to his New York apartment above Panucci's. Bender finally catches up with the sad sack and blasts the place to kingdom come. Fortunately, the explosion doesn't kill Fry, instead burning away his hair, singeing his beard, and damaging his larynx, revealing him to be Lars. That might not be super shocking right now, but he becomes way important later. He then rushes to the applied cryogenics lab, gets in a cryotube with his old girlfriend Michelle, and readjusts the time to 3002. Once awake, he gets a job at the Head Museum, where he eagerly awaits the day Leela arrives. 2019 to 2031. Starting in 2019, the military initiates Project Satan, a 12-year attempt at creating the world's most evil automobile, which included parts like Hitler's steering wheel and Charles Manson's turn signal. Calculon, working as a mindless construction robot arm at the time, is subsequently infected with the Werecar curse. According to Leela, all of Earth's petroleum reserves run out by the end of 2038. Alternative fuels are now the norm, including the wonders of whale oil. Over the next few decades, the city of New York solves their biggest environmental issues by launching the garbage barge into space and dropping giant blocks of ice into the ocean to combat global warming. A great idea with no chance of backfiring whatsoever, thus solving the problem of global warming once and for all. Once and for all! 2079 to 2099. The first robot uprising in history occurs in 2079, and cyborgs totally enslave humanity 20 years later. The origins are unclear, but are likely motivated by prejudice between humans and half-humans. An alien species of giant carrots also enslave humanity sometime during this period. According to a defrosty Fry met at the Logitorium Comfort Dome Inn, a world without carrot rule takes some getting used to. In 2159, the central bureaucracy is established to handle the financial, legal, and all other business matters throughout New York. The building itself is a windowless labyrinth, and simply finding a bathroom drives its inhabitants to the brink of insanity. The 2200s are a big century for Earth. To start things off, the first Decapodians arrive and feverishly devour anchovies to the point of extinction. Star Trek becomes a major religion after the cast of Star Trek the original series performs some musical reunion specials. Worried about its influence on the global populace, world leaders ban both its practice as well as the show, kicking off the Star Trek Wars. Not to be confused with the Star Wars Trek, an unspecified mass migration of Star Wars fans. The Fairness in Hell Act is passed in 2275, stating that anyone who can defeat the robot devil in a fiddle contest wins a solid gold fiddle and may leave robot hell no strings attached, other than that you now own a solid gold fiddle that would weigh hundreds of pounds and sound crummy. The first destruction of Earth also occurs around this time, originally believed to be the work of aliens while Fry was frozen. Turns out, though, it was Bender's doing while he was escaping the Swedish Air Force whilst undergoing a massive time heist while under the control of the aforementioned scammer aliens. Many workers are trapped in the underground sewers of old New York following Earth's destruction. Add a smidge of feces and a dab of radioactive waste and you've got the origins of the first sewer mutants. Sometime in the 2600s, New Yorkers elect a supervillain governor who steals many world monuments and relocates them to Monument Beach. And as if that isn't villainous enough, he carves his own face onto Mount Rushmore. You know, it doesn't look half bad. By 2620, scientists are so tired of immature jokes about the planet Uranus that they rename it Eurectum, which, to be fair, is much less funny, but in another stupider way, is much more funny. Less than 200 years later, Mom's friendly robot company constructs Robot Santa Claus. Unfortunately, a glitch in his circuitry leads him to go berserk and judge everyone as more naughty than nice. The penalty? Capital punishment. Can you hear the sleigh bells ringing? Do you get it? Sleigh is spelled S-L-A-Y, 'cause Santa kills people. The Professor and the Planet Express crew, 2841 to 2999. On April 9th, 2841, super genius and lover of good news, Professor Hubert Farnsworth is born. Notable accomplishments in his early life include joining the Academy of Inventors in his late teens and early 20s, and attending graduate school for 14 years. By 2900, Farnsworth is teaching at Mars University. There he gains his most promising student, Ogden Wernstrom, an A-, kickstarting a rivalry that would last a lifetime. Eventually, Eventually, Farnsworth lands a gig designing robots for Mom's Friendly Robot Company, where he stays for the next 50 years. His most notable invention was the fuel-inefficient sport utility robot that would become the gold standard for all robots well into the 31st century. The professor meets Zoidberg on Triton, who subsequently saves his life while trying to kill a Tritonian Yeti. After catching hypermalaria, the professor makes a pact with Zoidberg, asking him to be killed at the first sign of symptoms. A few years later, Professor Farnsworth leaves Mom's Friendly Robot Company after breaking up with Mom. He was dating her, by the way. We didn't mention that, but yeah, they were a couple, and it's exactly as horrifying as the mental image you currently have. To fund his independent research, Professor Farnsworth founds a delivery company, Planet Express. The first delivery crew consists of Zoidberg, Lando Tucker, Candy, and Lifter. All but Zoidberg are lost during their first delivery after getting lost in the Bermuda Tetrahedron. Farnsworth later discovers a method of turning dark matter into fuel. Just 2 years later, the Democratic Order of Planets, or DOOP, starts fracking Vergon-6 for every last drop. Mom captures scores of Niblonians for her dark matter farm in Alaska sometime after this event, as Niblonians are natural producers of dark matter. Hermes Conrad competes in the Limbo event for Earth at the 2980 Olympics, though after a child imitating him fatally injures his back, Hermes swears to never limbo again. 9 years later, Professor Farnsworth begins culturing his clone, Hubert Farnsworth, from cells scraped off his back. Coincidentally, Hermes' son, Dwight Conrad, is born that very same week. Bender Bending Rodriguez is built in Tijuana, Mexico in 2996. Deemed defective by Mom's Friendly Robot Company for lacking a backup unit, Hermes, now working assembly at the robot company, authorizes Bender's approval before resigning from the company. Another 2 years pass, and Amy Wong begins interning for Planet Express as part of her physics curriculum at Mars University. 2999. The previous Planet Express crew is killed by space bees while collecting space honey. The adventure begins. December 31st, 2999. Welcome back to Episode 1. Fry is unfrozen after 1,000 years of slumber and oddly cool with never seeing his family or friends again. I mean, he was saying he hated his life in what probably felt like a few minutes ago to him, and I'd say to think of Seymour, but future Fry's taking care of him, it's all good. Thus ensues an adrenaline-fueled chase through New York between Fry, an applied cryogenics employee Leela, and some nihilistic robot Fry just met named Bender. Basically, it's Leela's responsibility to outfit Fry with a career chip, which essentially brands someone with their qualifications. Fry, not wanting to be saddled with being a delivery boy again for the rest of his life in the distant future, takes off. And when Leela finally tracks him down, he actually convinces her to quit her own job. The next day, Fry and Leela track down his closest living relative, his great 30 times nephew, Professor Farnsworth, who then quickly hires Fry, Leela, and Bender as the new Planet Express crew, and Fry is given the job of delivery boy. The rest of the new year is full of quirky misadventures for the Planet Express crew. Fry quits mooching off the professor and moves into an apartment with his new roommate Bender, who is great. He briefly becomes a billionaire, like we mentioned, gets crowned Emperor of Trisol after drinking the previous monarch, attends and subsequently drops out of Mars University, and learns the horrifying yet delicious truth behind his favorite drink Slurm's secret ingredient. I'd tell Slurms Mackenzie to party on, but I feel like he's all partied out. Bender finds his one true calling on Chapek 9 and gets chummy with some human-hating robots. He sins his way into the bowels of robot hell, flushes the dreaded El Chupanibre down the subsewer, and forcibly learns to feel real human emotions. Leela rescues Nibbler from a collapsing Vergon-6, regrettably sleeps with the self-important spaceship captain Zap Brannigan, and almost gets sucked into a black hole while aboard the crew's spaceship Titanic, though everyone was also involved in that last thing. Earth also gets its fair share of action in the new millennium. Not only is it invaded by Omicronians seeking a proper conclusion to single female lawyer and nearly decimated by the return of the garbage ball launched back in 2052, but Earth also elects Richard Nixon as its next president. After a year, Earth just can't catch a break. Mother's Day goes south after Mom programs all her robots to revolt, making her supreme overlord of the Earth. It's short-lived, though, after she gets a little snoo-snoo from the professor, if you know what I mean, and if you don't, you're smart, you'll figure it out. Shortly after, Earth is invaded again by Omicronians, only this time for an actual good reason. Earthicans are consuming Omicronian babies as part of their latest fast food sensation, Poplars. Elsewhere, yearning for intergalactic conquest and very inspired by the movie Starship Troopers, Earth successfully invades Spheron 1. It's not all doom and gloom, though. Hubert Farnsworth gets removed from his cloning tank, the sunken city of Atlanta is rediscovered, the what-if machine is invented, and the where-car curse gets lifted. 3002. The universe is threatened on more than one occasion. The Brain Spawn begin their assault on Earth, but Fry, a temporarily stupid Leela, and the Niblonians defeat them thanks to Fry's lack of the Delta brainwave. Basically, Fry's actions, where he became his own grandfather, created a genetic anomaly that made him literally too stupid to function. However, his superior yet inferior mind grants him immunity against the brain spawn's power to render everyone they come into contact with super dumb. Not long after, the professor destabilizes the space-time continuum by misusing chronotons, causing time to skip forward at an accelerated rate, but without retaining any of the memories of the events that transpired during time skips. Farnsworth enlists help from the greatest scientific minds of the generation, the Harlem Globetrotters, and together they create a black hole that implodes the nebula, releasing the time-altering space dust. During these time skips, though, Fry and Leela are briefly married and divorced even quicker. And while Fry eventually learns how he got Leela to love him, it forever remains a mystery to Leela. On a much more lighthearted note, Dr. Zoidberg and acting legend Harold Zoid make a movie together, native Martians get some much-deserved reparations, and a Star Trek convention is held on the forbidden planet Omega-3. Heck, Bender even organizes an entire concert dedicated to broken robots everywhere. Don't believe us? Look it up in the Bectionary. Actually, I don't think a Bectionary would have all of that information, but it would tell you what Odelay means. This is also the year that the Planet Express crew travels back in time to Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. Upon returning, they dig up Bender's head, which was buried in 1947, where it remained for the last 1,055 years. Though perhaps most importantly, the professor fine-tunes his what-if machine, and we learn the answer to the most important question in the universe. What would happen if Bender was human? The answer of which is equal parts sad and horrifying. 3003. Earth catches a small break on the invasion front. After Zoidberg is sentenced to death for eating the Earth flag, the Decapodians retaliate by briefly enslaving the planet. Never mind! Bender has a romantic fling with the Planet Express ship's newly installed AI, causing many planets to be destroyed, including 2 gangster planets and a cowboy world. Apparently, the combination of candy hearts and quasars, while a powerful aphrodisiac, doesn't sit well with life in other galaxies. On the bright side, global warming is no longer a problem thanks to the professor's ingenious plan to move the Earth further away from the sun using gaseous emissions from robots. You know, robot farts. Years are now 1 week longer as a result, so President Nixon declares the extra week Robot Party Week. This is also the year that Leela reunites with her parents and discovers that she's not an alien as she previously thought, but a mutant, one who passes enough for a normal human that she can live on the surface without persecution from the locals or the government. And of course, it wouldn't be a Futurama video without mentioning that Fry finds the fossilized remains of his best friend Seymour. Luck of the Fryrish is a sadder episode than Jurassic Park, fight me. 3004. The brain spawn are back and the infosphere is nearly complete, spelling certain doom for the universe. Thankfully, Fry and the Niblonians defeat the brain spawn once and for all by banishing them to an alternate dimension from which there is no return. It's at this point Fry learns from the brain spawn the truth about Nibbler sending Fry to the future. With the help of the spawn, Fry travels back in time to confront Nibbler, but instead accepts his role in the universe and becomes the very person that condemns himself to life in the 31st century. Earth conquers the Spiderians of Tarantulan 6, resulting in everyone on Earth getting a $300 refund, and nobody spends it wisely, with the possible exception of Fry, who briefly transcends space-time after drinking 100 cups of coffee. Hermes Conrad works up the courage to compete in the 3004 Olympics, but is ultimately disqualified for cheating. Meanwhile, Bender successfully cheats his way to the top in various fembot bending events under the alias Coilette from Robonia, a land she didn't make up. Fry makes a deal with the robot devil to learn the notoriously difficult musical instrument, the holophoner, and win Leela's heart. And it doesn't backfire at all. Nope. Definitely not even a little bit. You know, I say that jokingly, but it kinda didn't backfire? I mean, a bunch of horrible things happened, not the least of which was Leela going deaf, but it makes for a very sweet series finale. Well, first series finale, at least. A year later, the brainless drones running the Box Network shut down Planet Express, canceling their license to make deliveries. And all hope is lost. It just won't stay dead. 3007. Good news, everyone! Those asinine morons at the Box Network are fired for incompetence and then beaten up. Most die from their injuries and are ground into a fine pink powder. Planet Express is back, baby! And not a moment too soon, as nudist alien scammers take control of both Planet Express and Earth, eventually sending Bender back in time to steal all of Earth's treasures. Bender, under the control of the scammers thanks to a virus implanted in him, gladly does this, and upon completion is ordered to kill Fry to prevent anyone from using the time travel code tattooed on his ass. Fearful for his life and a bit jealous of Leela's fling with her new boy toy, Lars Fillmore, Fry travels back in time to New York in the year 2000, where he reunites with Seymour. See this video like a bunch of minutes ago. We need a timeline for our timeline. This is the Fry that turns into Lars, by the way. He makes another duplicate of himself when he travels back in time for the first time, and then that Fry becomes the Fry that we follow throughout the rest of the series. Yes, I know it's confusing, that's why we're doing this timeline to begin with. Back in 3007, though, the scammers evict the people of Earth. With the help of Robot Santa, Hanukkah Zombie, and Kwanzaa Bot, the Earthicans fight back and ultimately win the battle for Earth. 3008. A time paradox of numerous duplicate benders left unresolved during the time heist creates a massive rift in time and space. Meanwhile, Yivo's universe is dwelling on the other side of the rift. Due to unrelenting loneliness and an extreme lack of social skills, the genderless planet-sized being pushes tentacles through the rift and forcibly mates with everyone in our universe. Things are nice for a bit, but once Yivo finds out that Fry sent a letter to Bender, Shkler's heart is broken, devastated that Fry could have feelings for anyone but Shkler. Yivo ends the relationship, sends everyone back to Earth, and closes the anomaly behind Shkler forever. Shortly after the Yivo incident, dark matter prices inexplicably triple. Turns out that Mom Bill perpetuated an artificial supply shortage to increase profits. To ruin Mom's dark matter empire, Professor Farnsworth infiltrates Mom's dark matter mine in Alaska. Also, he was probably still butthurt about her dumping him. Using his anti-backwards crystal, the professor renders dark matter useless, forcing all future spacecraft to run on whale oil. 3009. The universal life-giving aura known as the Chi begins to reform, resonating from the black dwarf system where it once receded to. The Legion of Madfellows explains how all life originated from the Chi, and an asteroid in the violet dwarf system will usher in a new green age. Unfortunately, that's exactly where Amy's father, Leo Wong, plans to build the 18th hole of his interstellar mini-golf course. Leela leads a radical group of eco-feminists to stop the implosion of the violet dwarf star. The star itself is revealed to be an encyclopod egg. The egg hatches and the encyclopod defeats the last of the evil Dark Ones. This ends the evolutionary arms race, kicking off a new green age, so the legend foretold. Unfortunately, the entire Planet Express crew gets sucked into a wormhole shortly after, but just before they do, Leela finally confesses her love for Fry, making for a very sweet, well-earned series finale. And then, rebirth. 3010. Everybody comes out of the wormhole and crash lands on Earth in one piece. Well, most of the crew died in a horrible explosion, but the professor puts them all back together using adult stem cells, of course. 3010's a big year for Hubert. He discovers the fossilized skull of a missing link in humanity's evolution, but not before he invents a forward time machine. This time machine teaches us about the cyclical nature of the universe, among many other things, but we'll get to that. The gang gets more political than usual this year. Bender and Amy push Proposition Infinity for the legalization of robosexual marriage between humans and robots, while Leela fights for mutant rights to live on the surface, and both win for their noble causes. After thousands of years, the cats of Earth decide to finally get off their lazy butts and revolt, stealing the planet's rotational energy for their cuddly brethren on Thuban 9. Oh, and the Omicronians invade Earth again, only this time it's more of a ploy for Lur, ruler of the planet Omicron Persei 8's wife Ndunda, to think Earth was invaded so that she'd find him attractive. With the help of Orson Welles' head, Lur rekindles the fire of his marriage, the things we do for love. Wait, wrong show. 3011. It's been 50 years since losing the first Planet Express crew in the Bermuda Tetrahedron. During a mission to retrieve a monument for the memorial party, we discover the original crew is still alive, gobbled up by a four-dimensional space whale. Bender gains the ability to exponentially self-replicate thanks to the professor's recent invention, the Banach-Tarski Dupla-Shrinker. His mini-me's multiply so quickly that they're likely to overrun Earth, but willingly leave once they decide that conquering Earth would be too annoying. The symptoms of the professor's hypermalaria start to flare, prompting Zoidberg to fulfill his promise made all those years ago to kill the professor. Fortunately, it was just your typical case of Yetiism, which is far easier to treat. No mercy killing required. Leela wins a Slurmy, a Peabody Jr., and 2 training Emmys for her work on Rumble the Hump, despite plagiarizing the show entirely from the lives of real aliens. Fry finds a bone vampire egg from a local farmer's market, which eventually hatches into Mr. Peppy. Bone vampires are an endangered species, so the crew returns Mr. Peppy to its homeworld on Duhan 6, where it helps thin out the planet's population of sheep. Fry, Bender, Leela, and the professor travel back to 1775 in an ill-fated attempt to salvage Hubert's family reputation. More on that way at the beginning of this video. The common cold was eradicated back in the 2500s, but of course, Fry reintroduces it to the 31st century, causing a devastating outbreak that nearly wipes out the population of New York. And I think the most unbelievable thing about this entire show so far is that Fry somehow went 11 years without ever having a cold. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here and I've had a cold for 11 years. 3012. Bender's son, Ben Vending Rodriguez, is born after a one-night stand with Planet Express's vending machine. He eventually enrolls in Bending State University in Santa Cruz sometime after having his memory banks wiped. As stated in an ancient Martian prophecy, 3012 is supposed to be the Earth's doomsday. Much to everyone's disbelief, the prophecy was actually foretelling Mars's destruction, which shot out of orbit and nearly collided with Earth. Other random events include Richard Nixon's head winning the 3012 Earth presidential election, and Calculon dying after he drinks a vial of food coloring to beat Langdon Cobb in an acting competition. A year later, Fry and Leela Leela spend a lifetime together frozen in time due to a malfunction with the professor's latest invention in time travel. Eventually, time is reset, and both Fry and Leela agree to go around again, making for a perfectly satisfying series finale, actually for real this time. Except, we're still not done, because Futurama still showed other future events. Crazy how that works. Later, in 3028, the economy collapses and another robot uprising occurs to overthrow Nixon. Politician Chris Travers, born in 3012, travels back in time to run against Nixon and stop him from winning, which works. But his job complete, and the robot uprising having never occurred, he fades out of existence, and then Nixon is declared the winner. The end of the universe. From here, we only know Earth's history in spots. Intelligent apes, birds, cows, and slugs each take a turn ruling over the planet, each erecting their own version of the Statue of Liberty. There's like 2 different medieval eras, one of which is ruled by giraffes. The planet goes from an ice age to a scorched wasteland to being totally covered in water. At one point, humans split into 2 species. One is smart and sophisticated, and the other, the Dumblocs, are primitive and brutish, and naturally, the Dumblocs take over, cause violence. By the year 50 million, Earth is a veritable paradise, blessed with beautiful, intelligent women and technology for creating backwards time machines. Men are nearly extinct, so even old and stupid ones like the Professor and Fry are valued. But the Earth, like all good things, must come to an end. In the year 1 billion, all life in the universe is extinct. All that remains of planet Earth is a vast, empty desert, and Leela's heartfelt message to Fry written out in billion-year-old stalagmites. 10 duodecillion. That's a 1 with 40 zeros, y'all. I feel sorry for the guy that's got to put this graphic together. The last protons decay, completely ending the current universe. Seconds later, another Big Bang occurs and forms an entirely new universe, totally identical to the last one, give or take a few feet, and round she goes.
Next up is 107 Futurama facts you should know from all the way back in 2015. I wonder if anyone knew back then that they would be bringing the show back.
Number 1. Futurama is one of the first animated shows to incorporate only digitally colored cells. Number 2. Because each episode takes a year to complete, the team works on all episodes simultaneously. Number 3. Once scripts are completed, voice acting for up to 20 episodes is recorded in as little as 2 weeks. Number 4. The writers are assigned index cards with plot points that they must use as a focal point for the episode. They also share what the team refers to as blue cards. These colored index cards contain plot devices frequented by Futurama, including Trial, Runaway, and Tour. Number 5. Voice talent John DiMaggio, best known for his role as Bender, is also the voice of Adventure Time's Jake the Dog. Now that is mathematical. Number 6. Futurama's longest seasons were 6 and 7, which consisted of 26 episodes. Number 7. The 5th season of Futurama was wrapping up in production when Fox dropped the animated series from its lineup in 2003. Ouch. Number 8. Episodes of Futurama from seasons 1 through 4 cost approximately $1.3 million each. The largest contributing factors include their CG animated elements like space travel, cars, and holograms, and Christopher Ting's orchestra.
Shut up and take my money!
Number 9. Though the 3D elements were pricey, the production team claimed it would be even more expensive to render the 3D elements two-dimensionally. Number 10. From 2003 to 2007, reruns of Futurama were aired on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim. This recaptured a viewing audience, gaining it significantly more popularity and merchandise sales than during its initial run on Fox. Number 11. With improved ratings, Fox purchased 4 straight-to-video films that would be chopped up into separate episodes. This would become now known as Season 5. Number 12. According to IGN, Fry happens to be the fan favorite of the popularity poll. Bender, however, is a close second. Number 13. Fry is also the most cosplayed character of the series. His look was inspired by James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause. Number 14. Futurama was named after a General Motors World's Fair exhibit in 1939 centered around the World of Tomorrow. Number 15. Other names considered for the title included Aloha Mars and Doomsville. Number 16. Though Bender's antenna has only been the highlight of one episode, I, Roommate, it has various capabilities. It has served as a butter dispenser, toilet flusher, glowing pager, alert when receiving mail, fuse to light the cannon in his chest cavity, and even as a defining feature of his gender. Number 17. Zap Brannigan's portrait is an imitation of the portrait of John F. Kennedy. Number 18. Bender's top 10 words in the series included chump, chumpette, yours, up, Pipmobile, bite, my, shiny, daffodil, and ass. Not in that specific order, though.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
Number 19. Binder's resume is rich in leadership and titles of excellence. He served as the Prime Minister of Trisol, the leader of League of Robots, commander of the Army of the Damned, an Iron Cook of the Iron Cook series based on Food Network's Iron Chef, a spy for the Dupe, which is the Democratic Order of Planets, and the Prime Minister of Norway. He even has a badge of honor, badge of Homer. Wait, what?
Compare your lives to mine and then kill yourselves.
Number 20. Fry, unlike me, loves anchovies. Number 21. The words from the very popular meme, Why Not Zoidberg, have actually never been spoken in the Futurama series. Number 22. Owls are the new vermin of the 31st century. Sometime after New York introduced owls to counter the rat and pigeon population, they replaced both species as pests with no natural prey for them to feed on. Number 23. Leela's home address, One Eye, is a pun based on her physical appearance. Number 24. Binder's home address 001001000 is suspected of being a reference to his greed. In binary, it translates to 36, but in ASCII, it's a $sign. This may seem like a stretch, but writers of the show are known for paying attention to those subtle details. Number 25. The written alien language of the series has been changed twice because creators didn't want fans to be able to read the mundane text hidden throughout the series. Number 26. Writer Ken Keeler invented a real-life mathematical theorem, the Futurama theorem, for the episode The Prisoner of Benda. Keeler has a PhD in applied mathematics. Number 27. There's a 22-minute episode of Hypnoto that ends with a voice saying, "The audience will wake up remembering nothing and feeling refreshed." Number 28. The slogan of Planet Express is, "Our crew is replaceable, your package isn't." Number 29. Futurama pays homage to Star Trek and the Jetsons by utilizing their audio tracks for sound effects throughout the show. Number 30. In Roswell That Ends Well, the crew travels back in time and Zoidberg is captured by the US military for an alien autopsy. This suggests that the Decapodian was the alien species found during the Roswell incident of New Mexico in 1947. Being the 51st episode of the series, it also served as a clever reference to Area 51. Number 31. Binder's original name was URL, pronounced Earl. Number 32. When Comedy Central picked up Futurama in 2009, the budget was trimmed down significantly. The writing staff was reduced from 12 to 7 writers. Composer Ting was also no longer able to make use of his orchestra. Womp womp. Number 33. Futurama was named number 8 of the top 100 animated TV series in January of 2009 by IGN.
Oh yeah.
Number 34. Watch Mojo ranked Futurama as the second best cartoon to have gotten canceled in 2014. Number 35. Fry does not know how to swim. Number 36. Futurama producers were charged a premium fee for requesting roughly 250 characters in one scene by their animation studio overseas. The scene was a cameo of minor characters from the series to be shown in the film Into the Wild Green Yonder. Number 37. Matt Groening, creator of The Simpsons, also created Futurama. Co-creator David X. Cohen is a writer for The Simpsons. Number 38. In The Simpsons Halloween episode Treehouse of Horror 9, Season 10, Episode 4, David X. Cohen used his creepy credit to advertise Futurama. Number 39. Binder makes many cameo appearances in The Simpsons. He can be seen as a doll in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, in a picture in Catch Him If You Can, on a magazine cover in Replaceable You, and in Bart's Hallucinations alongside Pikachu, Bart vs. Lisa vs. the 3rd grade. Number 40. Zoidberg's whooping sounds were inspired by Curly from the Three Stooges. Number 41. Binder's brain or processor is a 6502. Computer geeks alike recognize this to be the same processor found in the Apple II computer and the Atari console. Number 42. Amy Wong joined the Planet Express crew as an intern. In episode 96, That Darn Cats, it is revealed that she's been interning for Professor Farnsworth for 12 years. Number 43. In the same episode, Amy receives her doctorate degree, but chooses to stay with Planet Express because the job market is rough. Preaching to the choir, sister. Number 44. Zoidberg has a pet Slinky. Don't we all? Number 45. Matt Groening says Kif Kroker is based on an annoyed Mr. Spock. Number 46. During early production of Futurama, Hermie's name was going to be Dexter. Number 47. Fry became his own grandfather after having an intimate encounter with a younger version of his grandmother. Awkward. Number 48. Elzar, the four-armed chef, is based on Emeril Lagasse. Not only does he sport a similar appearance, his catchphrases are BAM and let's knock it up a notch. Number 49. Slurm's McKenzie, mascot of Slurm, is named after Spuds McKenzie, mascot of Bud Light beer. Number 50. We're almost through. The Grunkalunkas that pose as workers of the Slurm factory resemble the Oompa Loompas of Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I would like for you to say that 5 times fast. Number 51. Director Peter Avanzino claims that H.G. Blob is one of the most difficult characters to draw. Number 52. Zoidberg has a stink gland that releases a noxious odor when he's bored.
Dios mío.
Number 53. Kif has 3 nipples. Number 54. Zap Brannigan is the only known person to suffer from sexlexia. This disorder may or may not truly exist, but Zap definitely believes it is responsible for his failing love life. Number 55. Morbo has a strong dislike towards his wife's cooking and kittens, both of which give him gas. Number 56. Kittens don't give Amy gas, but she is allergic to them. Number 57. Tarquin's strange boat is dubbed Flotsam and Jetsam. It shares its name with Ursula's minion eels from Disney's The Little Mermaid. Number 58. In a state of fear, Bender defecates bricks. Number 59. Like most animated shows, any voice talent who records for multiple characters will read their lines as one character, then record as another in a separate session. Billy West, the voice of Fry, Professor Farnsworth, and Zoidberg, recorded all 3 characters in a single session, shifting between the voices of each character for their respective lines. Number 60. Zoidberg was inspired by interactions between Spock and McCoy on Star Trek: The Original Series. He's meant to illustrate the uncomfortable concept of having a doctor of a different species treating you. I wonder if this is how dogs feel when they go to the vet. Number 61. During the Iron Cook competition between Bender and Elzar, the mystery ingredient Soylent Green is actually human meat. This is a film reference to the 1973 thriller Soylent Green, which is also referenced by a cereal box on an episode of The Simpsons. Number 62. Turanga Lila was named after French composer Olivier Messiaen's popular symphony Turanga Lila. When split into separate Sanskrit words, Turanga translates as time and Leela translates as play. Number 63. The mottos of Mars University include knowledge brings fear and a giant pulsating mind is a terrible thing to waste. Totally agree, man. Number 64. John DiMaggio auditioned for the role of Professor Farnsworth. Then he was asked to audition for Bender using his Farnsworth voice. Bam! The rest is history. Number 65. Zap was originally meant to be voiced by the late Phil Hartman. Tragically, he was murdered by his spouse, Bryn Omdahl, a year before Futurama's first episode aired. Number 66. Bender was made in Mexico. Number 67. Professor Farnsworth accepted Amy as his intern because they have the same blood type. Number 68. In order to reproduce, amphibiosins require only a touch from an individual composed of genetic material while in love. They also depend on R selection, which means that they produce a large amount of offspring that have a relatively low probability of surviving to adulthood. Number 69. 2 fan favorite tattoos of the series are Professor Farnsworth's Thug Life, which lies across his back, and Fry's small booty portrait of Bender. Number 70. By the 31st century, the city of Atlanta has sunk to the bottom of the sea and become home to southern mermaids. Number 71. Fry was frozen in a cryogenic chamber on New Year's Eve of 1999. Number 72. While playing a futuristic version of Scrabble, Professor Farnsworth is 1 letter short of spelling Futurama. He's missing the second A. Number 73. Fry is older than Professor Farnsworth. While Farnsworth is approximately 160 years of age, Fry was technically frozen 1,000 years before the show's present time in the pilot episode. Number 74. When the Shrimpkins hail Bender as their god, the one commandment he passes down to the tiny humanoids is God needs booze. Number 75. Fox was not a fan of the 30th Century Fox appearing at the end of Futurama episodes, but when Matt Groening went ahead and bought the rights to it, it became a non-issue. Number 76. The first 3D animated sequence was also the very first shot of New York in the series pilot episode Space Pilot 3000. Number 77. Fry has dropped out of college not once, but twice. Before the time skip, he dropped out of Coney Island Community College, and post-time skip, he enrolled as a student of Mars University to become a certified college dropout. Number 78. Professor Farnsworth's bank account number is 299792458, which is the speed of light in meters per second. Number 79. Bender Bending Rodriguez is Bending Unit 22, built by Mom's Friendly Robot Company. Number 80. All bending units made by Mom's Friendly Robot Company are programmed in the art of bending through a bending school, which is a mass data installation via assembly line. Number 81. The Suicide Booth prints receipts for its customers after completing the service. Number 82. Robot Santa Claus's reindeer are 3 robots named Trasher, Smasher, and Rudolph, whose nose is an explosive device. Number 83. After Leela is given surgery to have 2 eyes, she shops at an optician's named iRobot, a reference to the book series iRobot by Isaac Asimov. Number 84. Zoidberg is the only character to make Robot Santa's nice list. Number 85. Amy Wong's birthday is May 4th. Zoidberg's birthday is the day after, but everyone still manages to forget about him. Number 86. John DiMaggio beatboxed the Futurama theme for Bender Should Not Be Allowed on television. He has won multiple beatbox competitions prior to the episode. Number 87. In the 31st century, an Earth year has increased from 365 to 372 days. Number 88. Because Leela has only 1 eye, she cannot watch 3D films. It takes 2 eyes to have depth perception. Sorry, Leela. Number 89. Nibbler can summon spaceships with his 3rd eye. Number 90. Fry's favorite song is Walkin' on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves. It serves as his cell phone ringtone. Number 91. In Leela and the Jeanstalk, Finn and Jake from Pendleton Ward's Adventure Time make a cameo appearance in a dungeon scene with Bender.
What time is it? Time for you to shut up!
Number 92. Multiple episodes of the series were created to serve as the series finale. The Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings, Into the Wild Green Yonder, and most recently, Overclockwise. You never know for sure when your time will be up. Number 93. Nixon's map of the solar system shows only 8 planets, in accordance with the decision in 2006 that Pluto is no longer considered a planet. It also shows that Uranus has been renamed as Eurectum. Number 94. The Planet Express ship is actually designed to look like Leela. Its shape mimics her overbite, single eye, and boots. Number 95. Bender's bending model is available in 2 metallic finishes, Foghat Gray and Glorious Gold. Number 96. Bender decided which color he would be by flipping a coin.
Our universe is doomed! Doomed!
Number 97. The Statue of Liberty can be seen holding different objects throughout the series, including her usual torch, a laser pistol, and a portion of the transport tube system. Number 98. Zoidberg traded all of his stocks in Planet Express for 1 sandwich. Number 99. In Anthology of Interest 2, Colin Pac-Man, Defender of Earth Against Evil Ghosts, is based on Namco's Pac-Man arcade game. Instead of 4 multicolored ghosts, there are 5 red ones. He also makes a reference to another retro game when enlisting Fry to help him save Earth from Space Invaders. Space Invaders is also an arcade game developed by Taito. Number 100. After this, 7 to go. Fry's grandfather, Enos Fry, shares his name with Enos the Space Chimp. Enos was the 2nd chimp to be sent into space by NASA and the 1st to be put into orbit around the Earth. Number 101. When Bender is a car, his bumper sticker says, "If you can read this, I ran over you." Number 102. In the 31st century, the Constitution has been repeatedly revised and has more than 70 amendments. The 67th Amendment outlines the right to refuse to testify on the grounds that one's organs will be chopped up into a patty. Number 103. Kermie's calculator has a button labeled "Carry the 1." Number 104. Bender's factory-built height is 5 foot 6 inches, but it's 6 feet when including the antenna. Number 105. Zoidberg has an anatomy chart in his office, but it's upside down. It can be assumed that he doesn't notice. Did we mention that Zoidberg's degree, which could prove he's really a trained doctor of any sort, was supposedly lost in a volcano? Number 106. When the crew crash lands on a planet inhabited by large Amazonian women, the female Sony speaker box in control is named Sonia. And the final fact on the list, number 107. Fry's dog Seymour is based on Hachiko, an Akita dog who waited at a train station for his deceased master return for 9 years, 9 months, and 15 days. Still, the saddest episode of television ever.
And to wrap things up, every Futurama meme explained.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore. We're starting off with a sentiment you've probably shared once or twice or 1,000 times. In the season 6 episode A Clockwork Origin, Professor Farnsworth reaches his wit's end in a debate with the talking evolution-denying orangutan, one of the show's many relatable premises, and declares,
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Now, the professor is lucky enough to be able to blast off and start fresh, if only we all had that luxury when we got annoyed. It's the rare image and text meme with no fill-in-the-blank element, and no need for photoshopping and remixing. Maybe you're arguing with an orangutan or a fellow YouTube commenter, or maybe looking for the perfect response to a ridiculous Facebook status or headline in the news. No matter the situation, sometimes there's just one thing to say, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Not sure if Fry. Of course, there are times when you want to ditch the planet, and there are other times when you're a little less sure. And for those times, we turn to Philip J. Fry in this quintessential look of uncertainty. Fry gave this timeless squint in another season 6 episode, The Lesser of Two Evils, which features a squint-worthy story of intrigue involving Bender and his near-identical twin Flexo. But the look has taken on a life of its own in the form of a meme, first as a simple I see what you did there reaction, but then more famously as a fill-in-the-blank template that lets users express their doubts about a situation. Like when you have a hunch that, let's say, someone is trolling you and not just stupid, or when you're not sure if you should laugh or be offended by someone's comments, or even in the relatable moment of not knowing whether if it's your username or password you're getting wrong. And if you had any doubt about the power of internet culture, Fry's mimetic incarnation circled back to the show's canon with an appearance in the season 7 premiere. Neutral response. Step back with me through the mists of time to 1999 when Futurama was on basic cable and cruising towards cancellation because we were too preoccupied with finding out how Prince wanted us to party. Yeah, ask your parents. In the season 2 episode Brannigan Begin Again, we're introduced to the Neutrals, an alien species who have strong opinions about remaining unopinionated. And while the members of Rush, Ask Wikipedia, may have their own feelings about that choice, when Futurama went through its internet-fueled popularity boom years later, the neutral decree,
I have no strong feelings one way or the other,
including a YouTube clip that millions of views later retains an almost perfect ratio of thumbs up and thumbs down. That's a bit of spontaneous internet cooperation that makes us feel nothing at all. I waited for you, Fry. Luckily, the Neutrals aren't the only residents of Futurama's universe. Fans will tell you it's not the way that the show makes you laugh that makes it special, but how it can occasionally make you cry. That's just the case with Season 4's Jurassic Bark, which turns on the waterworks with the story of Fry's friendship with a faithful stray dog, Seymour. While it doesn't fit the comical mold we usually expect from our memes, the iconic image of Seymour laying down as the episode ends gained a mimetic life as a tool strategically deployed to provoke a reaction from Futurama fans, dog lovers, and anyone with a heart. It can be used when you've been waiting a long time for something, such as the popular meme, I'll just wait here for more Futurama. It can also be used as a reference to a dog's loyalty, such as the meme, not sure if human has been gone for 5 minutes or 1,000 summers. The image of Seymour waiting on the sidewalk became so popular, in fact, it even found life as a tattoo. It's a stirring moment from an Emmy-nominated episode and a reminder that against all odds, the people on the other side of our screens do have feelings. I'll build my own. It's nice to have yourself a cry now and then, but this next meme takes us to a different side of the emotional spectrum, righteous indignation. In fact, forget the righteousness. In Futurama's second episode ever, The Series Has Landed, Bender finds himself in just about the worst circumstance a person or an evil robot can face. He has been kicked out of a theme park. But Bender's not the kind of bot to take things lying down. Bender gets mad. He decides,
I'm gonna go build my own theme park with blackjack and hookers.
oh, only Bender. Admittedly, Bender was saying all this to a door that had been slammed in his face, but the point's still there and the line became famous. It was then used to make memes declaring what people will make on their own, because sometimes when the world's trying to keep you down, you've got to do things on your own terms, or at least say you will, by cutting out the theme park and filling in the blank with whatever it is you think you could do better yourself. So be like Bender, we say, but just don't tell the cops we're the ones that put you up to it. Shut up and take my money. Of course, if you're one of Bender's many fans, you've probably just got one reaction to the thought of him opening up a theme park. Shut up and take my money. From Season 6's Attack of the Killer app, Fry's reaction to a well-meaning cashier's warning about a shoddily made iPhone analog quickly became a rallying cry for those eager to spend now and think later. And with the added flexibility of substituting Fry with any character and fistful of currency of your choosing, the meme has become a go-to way to tell someone that you're buying what they're selling. So I should probably probably send this to those people selling those Futurama t-shirts because shut up and take my money. Why not Zoidberg? Of course, if you're looking for someone to give your hard-earned cash to, why not Zoidberg? This meme isn't inspired by a particular episode per se, but from the crustacean physician's long-running habit of justifying his many dubious decisions with the careless, why not? And combining this with his frequent and fruitless attempts to win the respect of his peers. Zoidberg's rise to memedom began as a simple image of the character against a multicolored background in the advice animal style, but Reddit users quickly developed a formula wherein the reader's needs, a new meme, a tattoo, a presidential candidate, were met with the same inevitable reply, why not Zoidberg? And while it might not be the most compelling argument, you have to admit there's something liberating about giving up, throwing your hands in the air, and letting an incompetent lobster man choose your fate. Hypnotoad. Of course, if you're looking to put your life in the hands of a higher power, there are far better options in the Futurama universe. Why not all glory to Hypnotoad? Where was I? Many fans believe that Hypnotoad is the greatest of Futurama memes and indeed of all memes ever. First introduced in Season 3's The Day the Earth Stood Stupid, the Hypnotoad is shown winning a pet show purely on his own merits, as he is undeniably the greatest animal to ever live. As benevolent leader of the galaxy, Hypnotoad has no need for the mind control power that his misguided foes claim he possesses. His rule is not invasive or highly unethical, as they argue, because it is based entirely on the freely given adoration of his subjects. While some non-believers on the internet like to use Hypnotoad and the slogan of his followers, all glory to the Hypnotoad, as a disruptive meme, often appearing out of nowhere in an otherwise normal video or comment, the truth is that there is no place where the Hypnotoad is out of place or unexpected. For all things fall under the Hypnotoad's infinite rule forever. Good news, everyone! Come, let us explore another meme that has been found pleasing to the Hypnotoad. If you've watched any amount of Futurama, odds are you've heard Professor Farnsworth's catchphrase, "Good news, everyone!" If you haven't watched any Futurama, you might expect him to follow that up with actual good news, a visit from the Hypnotoad perhaps? In reality, the Professor's idea of good news usually involves sending Fry and the rest of the Planet Express crew to some wildly dangerous planet. And while that's bad news for them, it's bound to lead to laughs for the audience. Farnsworth's catchphrase leads a double life in the memosphere. Not only is it widely used among fans of the show to express excitement over recent events, ironically or unironically, it's also a common variant of the "you just read this in my voice" meme, a kind of good-natured internet prank where unsuspecting readers are fed a familiar line only to be reminded that they subsequently read it to themselves in the associated character's voice. Sort of like when you trick someone into being conscious of their own breathing, or remind them that there's no comfortable position in your mouth for your tongue. Yeah, just saying. X is bad and you should feel bad. Okay, tricking you into breathing manually was a low blow, but we've got a meme that might just encapsulate how you feel about our trickery.
Your music's bad and you should feel bad.
First uttered by, why not, Zoidberg. In the Season 4 finale, The Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings, Fry makes a deal with the mechanical incarnation of evil, the Robot Devil. But when the devil comes down to New York and robs Fry of his skills mid-performance, Zoidberg gets straight to the point and says the aforementioned line to Fry. It's got to feel bad to get heckled by a Zoidberg of all people, but the internet felt it was a hilarious way to point out people's flaws, mistakes, and lack of skills. Thus, this meme was born, using Zoidberg's line and filling in the blank to target everything from people's grammar, to forum posts, to their opinions in general. If there is anything internet dwellers love to do, it's bringing each other down like crabs in a bucket, and Dr. Zoidberg is one enormous crab. Oh wait, you're serious? Let me laugh even harder. Let's keep this going with another one of Futurama's more mean-spirited memes. What, you thought that was the only one? Oh wait, you're serious? Let me laugh even harder. Okay, you know what? I'll stop. But that's just what Bender says to Leela in the Season 4 episode Love and Rocket, when she asks if it bothers him to be taking advantage of his girlfriend's trust, who is a spaceship, just so you know. The internet latched onto Bender's insensitivity and used it as a straightforward way of ridiculing anyone whose opinion they deemed unworthy of respect or just dared to care about something they didn't. Hey, they don't call Bender evil for nothing. X does not work that way. But Bender's in good company in the Futurama universe. This next meme comes to us from a minor character who's, well, they call him Morbo the Annihilator, and like you'd suspect, his interests include annihilation, calling humans puny, and shouting, "I will destroy you all," which makes him a very interesting choice for a news anchor. But if you can believe it, Morbo's very own meme doesn't involve destroying the Earth. Morbo became internet famous because windmills. In the 4th season episode Crimes of the Hod, Morse's human co-anchor Linda quips that a group of African turtles who have migrated to Holland to escape global warming will be cooled by the country's many windmills. And Morbo, who clearly cares deeply about the topic, jousts verbally with Linda, declaring that
Windmills do not work that way! Good night!
he's right, though he could have said it a little bit more gently. If Bender's laughter is the internet's way of expressing contempt for the stupidity of others, Morbo is the mean voice of pure frustration at the stupidity of others. And so if you ever catch someone online who's just not making sense, do your very best Morbo bellow of rage as you passionately tell them that it doesn't work that way. Technically correct, the best kind of correct. We're coming to a close here, but we've technically got time for one last stop on this meme train to hilarity. This one comes from Season 2's episode How Hermes Requisitioned His Groove Bag, which sees the Jamaican tangling with the central bureaucracy, an enormous organization dedicated to dispensing red tape. When Hermes tries and fails to move up in the ranks, it looks like he's about to lose his job. But when he spots an impossibly trivial error in a form that's years old, it was stamped only 4 times instead of the requisite 5, the bureaucracy leader number 1.0 is forced to acknowledge
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
the bureaucracy's tangled web of rules might not go over well with the hardest of hardcore internet users, but the two are united by a common love, being obsessively precise. Number 1.0's quotable line is the ultimate way to tell someone that they're not wrong, even if you got to squint a little to see how they're right. We're hoping to see a lot of this from all of you in the comments, so don't let us down.
We made it! That's the end of the video. Now we'll just have to wait and see which one of these are still viewable 1,000 years from now. What did you think of our mini marathon? Which Futurama gag never fails to make you laugh? Do you think Futurama is better than The Simpsons? Make sure you let me know down in the comments and subscribe to Channel Frederator for more like this. And remember, Frederator loves you.